All right, so today we're going to move forward with solving equations. So you probably are going to want to have open your Desmos Scientific Calculator because we are going to be doing some multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, and some of it you may not want to do in your head. So go ahead and get that open. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this. And I want you to think about what we've been working on the last couple days, where we were looking at steps. Okay, we were looking at steps. So we were looking at numbers tricks, and we were trying to figure out what was happening to x. So hopefully you're feeling pretty confident with that. But let's go ahead and review a few things real quick, just to make sure that we are good. So I want you to think about this. What is happening between the 2 and the x? Hopefully you said that was multiplication. And the inverse is division. Okay, the inverse is division. What if I give you this? If you said, well, that's division, you're right, and the opposite is multiplication. What if we're looking at something like this? 3x minus 10. Well, remember, here's x. So the closest thing to x is the 3. So I have times 3, which becomes divide 3. Okay, so now I am here. So what is the closest thing to the 3x? Well, the next thing is minus 10, which becomes a plus 10. Okay, which becomes a plus 10. So here's the nice part. Okay, when we are solving equations, we follow these steps. Okay, we follow these steps. So we're going to go ahead and work on putting this together today with the algebraic writing, which means we're showing our work as we're solving the equation. Okay, so we're going to start by doing the first step. So the first step says plus 10. So I drew a line down here through the equal sign. I'm going to write plus 10 and plus 10. Now remember, this is a balance. Okay, so everything you do to the left, you have to do to the right. Okay, otherwise, if you think about it being a teeter-totter, you would be off balance, and we can't have that. Okay, so everybody's going to get a share of whatever you're doing. And every time I do a step, something is going to cross out. So here, negative 10 and 10, that's gone. Okay, this guy's going to drop. Now 20 plus 10, that's 30. Okay, so I've done this step. Now the next step I'm going to do is divide. And when I divide, I draw a line. So I'm going to divide, divide. And again, something crosses out. So the 3's are going to cross out. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so that's a 1x equals. 30 divided by 3 is 10. And I just finished my problem. I know that x equals 10. Okay, x equals 10. All right, let's look at this next one. So here's x. Well, the first thing happening to x is that negative 7. So that's multiply negative 7, which is going to be divide negative 7. Now, the tricky part is this 5. Well, I don't see a negative there, so it must be positive. So positive 5, negative 5, okay? And remember, this is the side I'm going to work off of. This is my inverse. So I'm going to go ahead and write this out. Okay, I'm going to write this out underneath of here. So I'm going to start with minus 5. This is my first step. So minus 5, minus 5. Again, cross out that first piece. Drop the negative 7x. Now 40 minus 5, that gives me 35. Okay, we're moving to the next step. It says divide negative 7. Again, divide both sides and cross out. So 1x equals, or x equals, 35 divided by negative 7 is negative 5. So x equals negative 5. Okay? Now, I can always check to make sure I did these right. Okay? So if I want to check a problem, I'm going to substitute. So I have 5 minus 7x equals 40. Where the x is, I am going to put what I came up with. So I have 7, then negative 5, and then I need to see if this equals 40. Well, this is a positive 35. So 5 plus 35 is 40. So I have 40 equals 40. So that is true. So I know that I am correct. Okay, let's keep going. How about we start with number 3? So start with these two. Go ahead and see if you can do your steps. And see if you can come up with your answer. So hit pause. I'll catch up with you, and then we'll look at the ones with division. All right, so this first one, times 9, divide 9, minus 7, plus 7. So I'm adding 7, draw the line, cross it out. 7 minus 7, that is 0. Drop my 9x. So I've done my first step. Second step, divide by 9. Cross out. X equals 0 divided by 9 is 0. So my first answer to number 3 is 0. All right, this guy. There's my x. So times negative 2, divide negative 2, plus 5, minus 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 5. So minus 5, minus 5. Remember, both sides. Cross out. Drop. Negative 2x equals negative 15 plus negative 5. That is a negative 20. All right, there's my first step. Now I'm going to move on to dividing by negative 2. Cross out. So x equals negative 20 divided by negative 2. That is a positive 10. And I'm done. All right, let me show you how we're going to do division, and then we'll have you try number 1. So let's start over here with number 4. So here's n. First thing we have is divide 5. So then we're going to multiply 5. Now this 4 is positive. So plus 4 becomes minus 4. All right, first step. We're going to do the minus 4. So minus 4, minus 4. Cross out. This time I'm crossing out on the right-hand side because that's where the majority of the stuff is. The n over 5 is going to drop. 0 minus 4, negative 4. Okay, now watch this multiplication. So when I multiply, times 5, those guys go away. Okay, so I'm left with an n, and 5 times negative 4 is 20. So that one is done. All right, see what you can do with number 1. Write your steps. See if you can get your answer. All right, let's see how you did. Divide 4 times 4. Plus 2 minus 2. So I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides. Cross out. 6 minus 2 is 4. Okay, now I have to multiply. So times 4 times 4. Remember, left and right. Cross out. A equals 4 times 4 is 16. And you're done. So hopefully you came up with 16. All right, so here are a few more. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and start with number 5. And then I will work us through number 6. Then you can try number 7. And then we'll take a look at number 8 together. So hit pause. See if you can do number 5. All right, so we have divide 20 times 20 minus 5 plus 5. Oops, I got to make that a plus sign. So I'm going to start here. Plus 5, gone. Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. Okay, now I have to multiply. Times 20 times 20. Gone. R equals 1 times 20 is 20, and I am done. Okay, let's see what we can do with this next one. So X is here. Now this time, notice that there's a lot of things on top. There's 2 things on top, and then I divide. So the first thing that's happening to X is actually the positive 5. So remember, this is positive. So positive 5, negative 5, divide 6 times 6. So this one looks different because the first thing I'm going to do is multiply 6. So this goes away. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And I'm left with 5 plus X. Next step, minus 5. Minus 5, minus 5, cross out. Drop the X. Negative 6 minus 5 is negative 11. And I can think about that as plus. So negative 6 plus negative 5 is negative 11. Okay, hit pause. See what you can do with number 7. All right, so hopefully you realize that was plus 9 minus 9. Divide 3 times 3. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply by the 3. So this one's gone. Drop the v plus 9. 8 times 3 is 24. So that was my first step. That's its guy. Second step, minus 9. Cross out. 24 minus 9 is 15. And I'm done. Okay, now, let's look at this next one. So if I cover up this negative 2, I'm just going to cross this out real quick, then we see that this is a distribution, okay? And when we see distribution, we are going to distribute first, okay? We're always going to distribute first. The less numbers we have, the better before we make our steps. So we're going to multiply. 2n, we're going to multiply again, plus 10. Okay, now we're going to go here. So times 2, divide 2, plus 10, minus 10. So I'm going to subtract my 10. 2n, cross out. That's a negative 12. Divide by 2, cross out. N equals a negative 6, and I have my answer. All right. So let's see what you can do today with your homework. Remember, you are showing the algebraic writing, so you need to show your work. Don't just use the calculator, okay? Don't just use the calculator. Show your work on your paper. You're going to have to turn that in at some point, okay? All right, we'll catch you tomorrow when we look at our next step.